Hello and welcome to Macy Cooks. But more importantly, welcome to Oh No, I'm Out. Recently, I've gotten a lot of messages from people saying that they're out of stuff because the grocery stores are running low. So today seemed like a good opportunity to do an Oh No, I'm Out and show you that it's not the end of the world if you're out of eggs. That's right. Today's episode is going to be all about eggs. Oh, why am I dressed like this? I thought it was obvious. And it is Oh No, I'm Out, so it has to be sciencey, and it's Easter, so it just seemed appropriate. So if you're looking for an eggy substitution, stick around. It's going to get YOKE. To begin, it's important to remember that an egg is perhaps one of the most versatile ingredients you have in your kitchen. I mean, think about it. It can be eaten by itself, poached, hard-boiled, fried. It can be used as an incredible emulsifier, making a creamy sauce or even a mayonnaise. You use it as a binder when making something like meatballs. So before you start substituting an egg, it's important to think about how it's acting in that recipe. Is it your binder? Is it to add creaminess? Is it to add loft? Once you've answered that question, you'll be able to decide what you can substitute with. Before we go substituting, I thought it might be cool to clear up some interesting things about eggs. When purchasing eggs, there's a couple things to look for. For example, the grade. For a long time, I had no idea what that grade meant, but basically it just means that it has been USDA approved. When you see a AA rating, that means that it is the cleanest shell, the clearest whites, and the loftiest yolks that you can find. Never fear if you can't find that AA rating, because the truth of the matter is, as long as it's a B or higher, it's all gonna bake the same. Another thing to keep in mind with eggs is whether they're good or not, because the older an egg is, the less efficiently it's going to work in your recipe. Older eggs don't make as firm of meringues, they don't make as creamy of mayonnaise, and they don't work as well as a binder. But there are a couple ways to check on the freshness of your egg. Also, if you hear dinosaurs in the background, I just thought it would be appropriate. Every USDA approved egg is required to have the sell-by date as well as the pack date on the outside of the carton. The pack date is the day in which the egg was inspected, cleaned, and packaged. Now on most cartons of eggs, it's either above or below the sell-by date, and it usually starts with a 0, leading from 001 being January 1st of that year, all the way up to 365 being December 31st. These particular eggs were packaged on 085, meaning March the 25th. That's important information because legally the sell-by date cannot be any more than 45 days prior to the pack date. However, properly refrigerated eggs can last up to 60 to 70 days past the pack date. But here's the deal. Sometimes eggs may not have that listed on the carton. So you need a way to know if those are fresh, and I'm gonna show you. Now, unfortunately, there are not many clues on the outside of this egg that will reveal its freshness. But the good news is, all you need is a clear vessel and some water. Ever so gently, we are going to lower our egg into the water. Eggs have a tiny little bit of airspace in the top. And when you lower them down, they will sink to the bottom, and if that egg lays over flat, it means that it's fresh. The reason being is because it has a very tiny amount of airspace, and that air is resting at the top, or middle rather, of that shell. However, if you were to place your egg in the water and it sits straight up and down, which this one doesn't because it's also fresh, it would mean it's a little bit older because that airspace has increased and therefore it's sitting up at the very point of the egg. The least fresh of eggs will actually float when you put them in the water, and those I would say you might as well just go ahead and get rid of. Now that our eggy moment is over, let's talk about what to do when you're out. Choosing your replacement is going to depend heavily on what you're baking, but some of the replacements include a combination of vinegar and baking soda, unsweetened applesauce, ripened bananas, plain or vanilla yogurt, as well as flax seeds, and some silken tofu. Now, vinegar and baking soda kind of makes a little more sense to me. We sort of discussed that in the Oh No, I'm Out of Baking Soda video, which I'll link right here. The reason that one is so straightforward is because it contains both an acid and a base, and they react together and create carbon dioxide, which are bubbles that will cause your cake or your quick bread or your muffin to rise. The reason I say what you're baking matters is because you wouldn't want to use, for example, ripened bananas in something that had a very delicate flavor, like just a plain quick bread, because then it would taste like bananas. Same with unsweetened applesauce. You wouldn't really want just a sandwich bread recipe to taste like apples. Then again, that might be good. That's another video entirely. For today, I am going to be making something I'm pretty excited about. Brioche is a very eggy bread. In fact, most brioche recipes contain 6 to 7 eggs. So, what we're going to do is experiment with some ripened bananas and also some plain yogurt. I haven't tried this before, guys, so we're in this together. But isn't that the best part of these videos? They're sciencey, guys. They're sciencey. So for today's brioche recipe, I am embracing the flavor of banana and we'll be adding some chocolate. In this yeasty bowl, I have 2 tablespoons of warm water, 2 1/4 teaspoons of active yeast, as well as a 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. To the bowl of a stand mixer equipped with a dough hook, we are going to add 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour and a teaspoon of salt. Next up, we're going to add our yeast mixture, and it is going to be pretty thick because we did only use 2 tablespoons of water. Go ahead and give that a mix on low. Next, we are going to add 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. Now at this stage, we would begin adding our 4 large eggs, but instead we are incorporating yogurt and ripe banana. For 1 large egg, the replacement is 1/4 cup of plain yogurt, as well as for 1 large egg is 1/4 of a ripe banana. For this recipe, we are going to add 1/2 cup of yogurt, as well as 1/2 of a ripe banana, to equal to 4 eggs. Here we have 1/4 and 1/2. Next up, we're going to add that 1/2 banana. P.S. This one is extremely ripe, which is what you want. And we're just going to that right down in there. Now then, we're just going to lower on down that dough hook, lock it in place, and beat it on medium for approximately 3 minutes. It has been 3 minutes, and now we are going to add 1 stick of very soft butter, but not melted. Let that mix for approximately 2 minutes to get the butter incorporated on medium-low. Then raise the speed to medium and let it knead between 8 to 10 minutes. And now for a brief intermission. There was a chicken named Charlie who couldn't even lay 1 egg hardly. I'm just kidding. We're not doing it. Quarantine has been hard, but it's not been that hard. At least not yet. To our very creamy and luscious dough, we are now going to roll it out into a rectangle. All right, we have rolled out our dough into a rectangle that is approximately 11 inches long by about 9 inches wide. We are going to add approximately 10 ounces of chocolate. It helps if as you add it, you're pressing them down into the dough. In fact, this works great. Starting from the end furthest away from you, we are going to begin rolling this up just like we do our sandwich bread. Flip it over, seal that seam as best as you can. Then, just like with our sandwich bread, we are going to close up the ends. Now have a log of non-egg brioche and chocolate that we will transfer into a sandwich tin. Cover it with a hand towel and let it rise for about an hour. Go ahead and preheat your oven to 375. It's been 1 hour and our dough has risen. That's a really good sign, guys. We're gonna put it in the oven at 375 for approximately 20 minutes and then we'll test it. So our bread has been in a 375-degree oven for about 30 minutes. It's time to pull her out, and honestly, I'm pretty excited to see what she looks like. I guess my biggest hope is that once we cut into it, that it still tastes and feels like brioche. Guys, I wouldn't say this looks or sounds any differently than a brioche that has eggs. To be honest, at this point, the only thing I'm really nervous about is the chocolate. That was a lot of chocolate, so kind of curious to see how it affects the bake. Right off the bat, I'm gonna say if you choose to make this, it's one of the most healthy things you've ever eaten. But who cares? Look at it! Okay, so no, it's not one of the most visually appealing breads. I get it. But if you could feel it, you'd be impressed. The bread itself is super soft, guys. I would have absolutely thought this had 4 eggs in it. As you can see, it's still got that tight crumb structure. All right, the truth is in the chocolate. Let's have a taste. I totally would have thought there was egg in this. 100%. The best part is that you get that richness from the yogurt and also the moisture from the banana. I have to tell you though, the banana is really subtle. I mean, if you think about it, we only used a half a banana, which, you know, also that's because there's a ton of chocolate in this, but given we made something that didn't have chocolate in it, I still think it would have been really subtle. And as far as the yogurt goes, I don't taste that at all. All that's done is just increase the moisture and the richness of the spread. The best thing about egg substitution, or any substitution for that matter, is that I feel like, I told you there were dinosaurs, I wasn't joking. I feel that it expands your knowledge in the kitchen, and it really just adds a whole bunch of tools to your toolbox to be able to pull from later. All in all, I deem this a success. We successfully made brioche without egg. Whatever your motivation, be it the grocery store is out or maybe dietary reasons, you can bake without an egg. The biggest thing is, don't be afraid to ask the question. Don't be afraid to go out there and try to find a solution, because there probably is one. More importantly, however, don't freak out when you say, oh no, I'm out. Get baking, y'all.